Somerville, Somerville, some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, Somerville. No more acceptance as a faith of politicians that we hate, and no more getting wise too late because it's springtime in Somerville, Somerville, some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, Somerville. And no more screaming aldermen and no more groaning about the rent or guessing where the children went because it's springtime in Somerville, Somerville, some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, Somerville. It's time to fight for rent control and services remaining whole. You know by now you're being told we think it's springtime in Somerville, Somerville, some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, 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 some, Somerville, Somerville.
Hi, my name is Ted German, and I'm the host for tonight's show. Tonight, Dead Air Live is going to focus on the Somerville Speakout. The Speakout happened last weekend on March 12th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Powderhouse Community School. You may have seen our publicity in the form of posters which we put in schools, in stores and laundromats. We tried to blanket all of Somerville with them. The Speakout was designed to give some of the residents the opportunity to talk about some crucial issues which face all of us today. These issues were the incredible, frightening arms race, which threatens the survival of all of us, and the budget cuts that the Reagan administration has put upon social services, which are hurting everybody in Somerville today. The Somerville Producers Group was a very proud sponsor of this event, and what we did was we took a videotape of it for this show and for future shows. What I'd first like to show you today is what was a rather unusual introduction to a political event. Did it go okay?
Speakout Planning Committee. What we are doing this afternoon is coming together to speak out. You're going to be hearing several people talk to you this afternoon, and some people are people who are experts in the field. However, it's our opinion that when it comes to survival, everyone is an expert. So we are going to require and hope for your participation this afternoon. There will be microphones, as you see, set up on the floor, and during the course of the afternoon, we invite you, we exhort you to come to the microphones and speak your mind. There is not one person in this room whose thoughts and views are not welcome. And first, I'd like to introduce a member of the Somerville Speakout Planning Committee to give you a statement from our committee, Mr. Steve Marone.
Let me invite our speakers to come up to the platform too at this time. I'm here to welcome you to the Speak Out. We've been pleased by the response. It's an overwhelming response today, and in our planning for this, we've had the cooperation of so many Somerville groups, individuals, that we're just overwhelmed, and we hope this is the beginning of something important. Crowded out by experts on issues that vitally affect our lives. We've been pushed out of the business of our country, the business of our nation, by those who tell us we have no right to say what's being done with our money. Well, we want to say no. It's time for us now to stand up and speak out about these matters. We hope that today we can focus on two major themes. The themes that the Planning Committee was most interested in were, first of all, weapons, and in particular, nuclear weapons. We're faced now with an enormous military buildup in our country, a buildup that focuses right on these terribly destabilizing, extremely expensive, and horribly destructive nuclear weapons. We want to say something about that, and we want to offer you the time to say something about that. The second theme is our economy. This military buildup costs money. We're told it's going to cost at least $1.6 trillion over the next 5 years. An enormous amount, and it's coming out of human services. It's coming out of community services. It's coming out of welfare, transportation. It's coming out of what helps us to stay alive. We say that we want to speak out about that too. We want to speak out about a budget, a national budget, that diverts so much of our money to the military. Here we are in the midst of the worst recession since the Great Depression, and we want to say something about that. We will not be left out. We want to bring these state issues to our community. We want to be part of the debate about the issues that concern our lives. And we invite you to be part of that today. And we'd like to start something in Somerville that makes a real difference. Before I stop, I want to list our sponsors and endorsers just to give them immediate recognition. As I said, it's been overwhelming, the response. Our sponsors are the Boston Mobilization for Survival, Somerville Spring, the Somerville Teachers Association, the Somerville Women's Center, the Somerville Community News, the Somerville Council for Children, the Somerville Producers Group, the Mystic Learning Center, and the Great Campus of Boston. You'll hear from most of them today. The Somerville Board of Aldermen, the Somerville School Committee, the Somerville Community Schools All-City Council, the Somerville United Neighborhoods, the Community Action Agency of Somerville, the Coalition for Basic Human Needs, the Somerville Tenants Association, the Somerville Portuguese American League, the Cambridge Somerville Daycare Alliance, the Somerville Cambridge Elder Services, the Mystic Housing Tenants Association, Respond, the Nuclear Education Project of Somerville, the Somerville Mental Health Association, the Somerville Media Action Project is providing our sound today, the Ethnic Arts Center of Somerville, the Citizens Party of Massachusetts, Common Cause, and individuals Sal Albano, Sister Jean Gallo, Gary Gartland, Peter Merchant, Ariel Young, Peter Dreyer, and Ken Geiser. We thank them all so much. And in fact, we couldn't have done anything without them.
Hi, we're back live. I'd like to introduce my first guest. This is Judy Fryworth from the Boston Mobilization for Survival. She was one of the major organizers of the Speak Out. Judy, before I talk to you, I'd just like to take care of a little business. We're a live show, and we really need audience participation. Right now on your screen, we're putting up the phone number of our show. The phone number is 628-6750. If you have any comments or criticisms, whatever you want to say to us, we're really glad to take your call, and we really like to hear that. Judy, I suppose the first thing we should mention is that we who helped plan this event owe a tremendous vote of thanks to the Northeast Kingdom Puppet Theater and Common Ground and all the other performers who helped make a political event much more lively. How did we come upon the Northeast Kingdom Puppet Theater?
Well, the Northeast Kingdom Puppet Theater has been involved for quite a number of years in putting on different kinds of events, and we're very grateful that we were able to have them. There were some 30 people that were involved in that, in the display in the beginning. Also, the Tufts Political Action Committee also helped out in that. And we were also very grateful for Solid Ground that also has done some other events in Somerville, some other benefits.
Judy, you come from the Mobilization for Survival, and you've been a member of that for many years. You can perhaps tell us, in this case, in the event of the Speak Out, the Speak Out really couldn't have started without Boston Mobilization. But before we get to MOB's role in the Speak Out, perhaps there are some viewers who don't know what Boston Mobilization for Survival is all about. Could you give us a brief introduction?
Sure. Mobilization for Survival is both a local and national organization. And nationally, it's a coalition of a whole number of very diverse kinds of groups. And the main goals of mobilization are four. And they are zero nuclear weapons, banning nuclear power, stopping the arms race, and funding human needs. And mobilization is basically a multi-issue group that mostly came around in the very beginning, organized around the nuclear weapons issue, and was one of the first organizations that put a lot of energy and a lot of work into the weapons issue. But it differs from some of the other ones in that it really connects the issues around nuclear power, the connection between weapons and power, whether it's around plutonium or nuclear waste, and also around the human needs issue. And this is particularly relevant for this event in that we draw the connections around the militarized economy and the escalating arms race and how this relates to the cuts in human services, whether it's transportation, housing, daycare, a whole range of different events that was particularly relevant for Somerville.
Well, what kinds of work does MOB do?
Well, a variety of things. We're organized according to task forces, and the group that helped to initiate this Speak Out was the Nuclear Weapons Task Force, which does most of the weapons work for the organization. And we're also involved in other kinds of work around nuclear power, around conventional weapons, and also a lot around the human needs issue.
What kind of, does it do other things besides Speak Outs?
Yeah, a lot of educational work and also public actions. Involved in local actions, national actions. We were very involved in the June 12th demonstration last spring. In fact, we're one of the initiators of that, and we all put a lot of time into that. And we're also involved in working in other kinds of coalitions. Whether they're human needs coalitions or around, again, nuclear weapons.
Sounds like you're very busy.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
How did mobilization get involved in the Speak Out and the planning of the organization and in the planning of the event? I mean, what was the initial impetus for this?
Well, it came out of the Nuclear Weapons Task Force, and the reason that we chose to do this is that most of us lived in Somerville. And people were real interested in doing something in their community, in Somerville, and were interested in trying to work with a diverse number of groups and to form a coalition and to really be able to do something that was significant where they lived.
Why didn't you do something like, let's say, a forum or a panel discussion? Why did you choose the Speak Out mode? Was there something particular to that?
That's an important issue. We wanted to do something that would involve as much community participation as possible. And we thought of a range of different events, teach-ins, lectures, whatever, and we really thought that a Speak Out would be the best way to involve all kinds of organizations and as many individuals as possible so that they would have a chance to get up to the mic and say what they want and relate to the issue. And the main theme of the event was around the militarized economy and the budget cuts that were happening both in Somerville and nationally. And a big part of the Speak Out was an open mic time where people from all kinds of groups came up and spoke.
By the end of the planning for the event, however, MOB was only a significant but only one part of the event. How did that happen? How did that process come about where MOB went from being the sole, sort of the initiator of it, and how did the Speak Out committee get built up to such a point?
Well, what we did is we began to do quite a bit of outreach, and we were in touch with about 30-some groups. Again, including all different kinds of groups, from the school committee to the aldermen to social service groups to Somerville United Neighborhood. And we went around, talked with people to see what they were interested in, whether it was a Speak Out or another kind of event, and what issues they were interested in. And we, over time, realized that there was quite a bit of interest, that people were very excited about the idea of a Speak Out and really wanted to become part of this coalition and become part of the planning group. So that although mobilization sort of initiated, it really was the community that put on the event and not mobilization.
What were some of the, I mean, I've been organizing myself for some time with mobilization and other groups as well. The logistics behind an event like this are very complex. I mean, getting money together, people see an event and they don't realize how much publicity costs or and things like that, or what goes into choosing a location. You know, there's so many things, and hundreds of hours of meetings, you know, which I can attest to having gone to, and some were fun and some weren't. So can you give us a little?
Sure. There was a lot of planning that went into the event, and we basically formed a planning committee that included both representatives from the organizations and also individuals that were just interested in working on this. And if groups could not send a representative, we were very much in touch with them so that they had a lot of input and helped out in different ways. And we divided up into task forces within that planning group. We had everything from logistics to publicity to media. And I think the major part of it was doing the outreach and really bringing in folks to the planning
Where'd
committee.
we get the money to do all this? I mean,
Well, we were very lucky in that we applied for 2 grants. One was through a foundation called Resist here in Somerville that gave us some money to help put this on. And another was through a foundation called Haymarket. So they both really helped quite a bit, as well as we got donations from the various organizations. We also had a raffle. We raffled off a bike that Ace Wheelworks generously gave to us at cost, and we made some money for that. So we were very lucky.
So did we break even, or?
Yeah, we did do that.
That's
right.
always impressive in terms of political event. I just want to remind people again that our lines are open, and if you want to call, the number is 628-6750. We're going to go very shortly to the next tape of a, but unfortunately, oh, sorry about that. We can't go to the next portion of the event because of technical difficulties. Our editor broke. Let's be honest about it, and we couldn't get any of the 5 speakers that spoke at the event. And they were really excellent. That's unfortunate. And at a later date, we intend to show them to you. Among the speakers were people like Philip Morrison, who was involved in the Manhattan Project and a long-time disarmament activist, and Pat Jalen and Sal Albano also spoke, and I think Dominic Pizzuto of the Restaurant Workers Union, and Tess Ewing as well. And we'll show you to them at some other point. What we're going to do now is we're going to turn to the Speak Out section itself, the heart of the event. Okay, and that's what we.
I am not 9 years old, and I don't want to be 10. But I'm perhaps one of the oldest people in here. I'm 73, and I'd like to be 74. I see that the large preponderance of the audience are young. Someday you'll be old. Don't regret it. We don't all have that wish. I had about 15 or 20 pages of oratory written out, but after listening to those orators up there, I just left them behind. And I'll read a couple of paragraphs here. My name is Joseph Sadowski. I'm the president of the Somerville Cambridge Elder Services, and I'm here on their behalf. I'm here today to express the support of the Somerville Cambridge Elder Services for the Somerville Speakout. As a private, non-profit organization serving the needs of the elderly in both communities, we are committed to increasing and improving federal programs serving our elder citizens, not decreasing the benefits. Our most recent concerns include proposals for reduction of both Social Security and Medicare benefits to the nation's elderly. We certainly do not support balancing the country's defense budget at the sacrifice of health care and retirement benefits for men and women who have worked throughout their lives and deserve these supplements to enhance the dignity and independence of older citizens.
Another of our sponsors, Fluffy Bergman from the Mystic Learning Center.
Hello, friends and neighbors from Somerville, and hello to you from surrounding communities also. My name is Fluffy Bergman, and I'm here today as the director of the Mystic Learning Center, as a concerned citizen of this country, and also as a worried member of this planet and universe. I would like to share with you briefly my individual concerns, worries, and thoughts about what brings us here today. As the director of the Mystic Learning Center, I have many concerns, but the main one is funding for the program. The center, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, offers educational and recreational activities to youth of the Mystic Housing Development through an after-school and evening program in the fall through spring, and also through a special summer program. The center employs Mystic teens as teachers of younger kids. I think I'm not incorrect to say that the program works, and it has been fulfilling many needs of the Mystic community for close to 12 years now. But our federal funds were cut back for the current year, and we face even greater cutbacks in the upcoming fiscal year. Further down the road, the future of the Learning Center is even less certain. What I have to say about this, and I think I can speak here for Mystic residents also, is that the Mystic Learning Center is much more important to us than MX missiles, Trident subs, and nuclear bombs. The Mystic Learning Center is a positive investment in our future and not an investment that will lead to death and destruction. As a concerned citizen and worried member of this planet and universe, I would like to say, I think it's time our government adopted policies and spending practices that would lead to world peace, not annihilation. Some may call me idealistic, and I guess I am, but I think it's more than that. I'm a lover of life and a lover of things in nature. I believe firmly that we need to live in harmony with our environment and the world around us. The arms race, along with its nuclear weapons, is certainly not leading us down this peaceful path. Let me close by saying, come by the Mystic Learning Center table, make a Speak Out mobile with us or a bookmark. Complete our Think and Know inventory on the subject war. Let us show you how to write a paragraph so you can add it to our book of paragraphs on war. Play our math peacemaker game. Share with us your thoughts and enjoy the afternoon. Thank you.
My name is Carolyn Hilliard, and I'd like to say that I don't want bombs, I want the Learn Center.
Hi, my name is Dan Cohen. This is my friend John Levine, and we're very interested in peace education, and so we're going to have a little spontaneous peace education about what's legal and what's illegal.
It's illegal to rip off a payroll. It's illegal to hold up a train. But it's legal to rip off $1 million or $2 million that comes from the labor that other folks do. To plunder the many on behalf of the few is a thing that is perfectly legal. If you fashion a bomb in the kitchen, you're guilty of breaking the law. But a bloody great nuclear bomb is okay, though plutonium processing hastens the day when this tight little world may be blasted away. Nonetheless, it is perfectly legal. It's legal to sing on the telly, so make bloody sure that you do. Ayo, sing about racists and fascists and creeps and thieves in high places who live off the weak, and those who are selling us right up the creek. the twisters, the takers, the con men, the fakers, the whole bloody gang of exploiters.
My name is Itamar Bispo, and I work for Somerville Portuguese American League. I have been seen here today many faces that I know, people that have been struggling together in social service, people that have been putting all the efforts together. I'm very glad to be here, and also very glad to have my children here with me, because representing the Portuguese community, I would like to give our message. Your next door neighbor, most likely in Somerville, is a Portuguese. We are here, the highest linguistic minority in the city of Somerville and throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Portuguese that have been well known to be good citizens, hard worker, and like everybody else, struggling for a better community, for a better America. Being a director of a social service agency, the only one in Somerville that helps the Portuguese elderly, that deals with Portuguese families. I know how Mr. Ronald Reagan has been doing for social service. I would like to let alive our protest. We, Portuguese, we from the community of Somerville, we who live in America, disagree totally with the whole economy, with the armed race. We want to raise our kids. You want to make a better Somerville. You want to make a better America for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Kate Cloud from the Somerville Council for Children. I was going to mention to you some of the recent research that talks about the ways that children their emotional health is affected by the arms race. But since we're asked to keep it down, I'd just like to direct you to the table right down there, and there's some information, growing up in the nuclear age and nuclear fear in the first grade, which will explain some of those things. I'd just like to say one thing, and that is that a couple days ago, my 11-year-old son said to me, you know, there's something really funny. They can't cure the common cold, but they know how to blow up the world. And I said, you know, well, what do you think is funny about that? And he was sort of laughing in a slightly hysterical way that let me know that he didn't think it was funny at all. So we got to talking about the Somerville Speakout, and I got down one of the flyers, and I showed it to him, and I said, you know, a lot of people are going to be talking about this very issue. How come we spend our energy and our resources on ways to destroy life instead of ways to help make life better? Excuse me. And he took the leaflet from me, and he started to read some of the groups that were sponsors and endorsers. The Somerville Teachers Association, the Council for Children, and the Daycare Alliance, and the School Committee, and the Board of Aldermen. And these are all groups that he's heard about since first grade. They are reference groups to him. And it was really comforting to him and to me to know that our friends and our neighbors, so many of us, are working here to make the world a safe and a just place for my son and all of our children and all the children in the world to grow up. So I'd just like to say that it's comforting to our children and to ourselves to work together to take action, make this world a safer place. Thank you.
Hi, we're back. This is Dead Air Live, and we're talking tonight about the Somerville Speakout, which happened last week. Our phone number is 628-6750. We would really appreciate your calls, your comments. We haven't had any phone calls yet, when we would really like to have you call in. The guest to my left is Judy Fryworth from Boston Mobilization from Survival, and my new guest here is David Meyer from PAA, and also a member of the Speak Out Committee. In this section, I'd like to evaluate the Speak Out, how we feel about it. We just saw on the videotape a good section of people speaking out. How do we feel about how the Speak Out section itself went? I mean, did people come to the mic freely? Did we get who we wanted? What was the story? What do you think, David?
Well, I think the Speak Out, Ted, was a historic event. It's the first time across the country that working class people have really been involved in talking about the arms race. Worldwide, there's been a lot of activity on the arms race. You've seen it, you've seen pictures on television of demonstrations from Germany and so forth, but it's always been middle class, the upper classes. And now, in the United States, starting in Somerville, it's becoming a broader issue. It's becoming an issue because people realize that nuclear weapons don't have to be used to kill people. President Reagan's made that very clear.
Dave, could I ask you to just hold for a second because we've got a phone call.
Okay.
Okay? Hi, you're on Dead Air.
Hi, my name is Linda Stone. I just wanted to say, we don't want to fight. We just want to live our lives because a lot of people got to know that we love.
That's very nice, Linda. Weren't you at the Speak Out? Didn't you speak out at the microphone? I thought I remember you. Are you from the Mystic Housing Project?
No, Mystic Learning Center.
You're from the Mystic Learning Center. I remember you. Yeah, well, thank you very much for calling. What do you think of the show so far?
It's good.
You think it's good?
Yeah.
Are a lot of people watching in where you are?
Yeah.
Uh-huh, okay. Well, what do you think you're going to be doing about these issues? Do you think you're going to be working on them at all?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, well, I hope to find you working with me in the many years to come. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Ted, if I may.
Okay.
What the sentiments Linda expressed are very, very common. A lot of people say, yes, we want peace. No, we don't want lots of weapons. But what are we supposed to do about it? I don't know whether I'm going to work on it or not. I don't know what I'm going to do. And the point of the Speak Out is to say, yes, you can do something. You have power. You know, most of the country, 72% they say, wants a nuclear freeze. Now, this isn't the ultimate goal of the disarmament movement, but it's the starting point. 72% of the people, and the president dismisses it as ridiculous. And people are not just scared anymore, people are angry. And that's what's happening in Somerville, and that's what the Speak Out showed.
You said earlier that the Speak Out showed that working class people come to the event. Do you really think that that's the case? What do you think we got a broad spectrum of participation generally? Or for instance, from the Portuguese community, do you think we got a representative?
Well, Ted, to be honest, it's not enough. There was someone from the Portuguese community. There were working class people. There were a lot of transient people. Somerville's a very, very mixed neighborhood. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of transient people in Somerville. There are minorities on the edges of Somerville, but it's primarily a white city. And the sampling we had was a good one, but of course it's not enough. We have to keep going beyond that and beyond that. People all across the country, everybody's angry about the arms race. It's not as though we have to raise consciousness about it. Everybody's consciousness is raised. It's a question of giving people a forum where they can come and do something about it. And the Speak Out was a step in that direction.
Do you think that the economic focus is the right way to go? And the reason I say that is, for instance, in the peace movement today, we have people like Helen Caldecott, who hold up a baby and say a baby is a baby is a baby. And we have people who talk about psychic numbing. Yeah, that's right. It is true. We have people talking about psychic numbing and saying that the arms race is not a political issue but a moral issue. And I personally disagree with that. I was just wondering how you guys feel about it.
I think that's what was particularly significant about this event. I agree with David that that for one thing, this was a way for community people to really feel like they could do something about it. But in addition, it went beyond just the nuclear issue and really talked about the economics and how it's affecting people day to day, their daily lives. And a lot of these people, whether they're in Somerville United Neighborhood or in the Mystic Housing Tenants Association, they feel it every day. And I think that people are really making the connections that the more money that's being spent on wasteful weapons, whether nuclear or non-nuclear, it's coming out of their pockets, whether it's their taxes, or whether they're not getting the aid that they need, whether they're in welfare and they're having cuts there. I think that's what people are particularly angry about.
I'd like to underscore that also. People realize, everybody knows that if a nuclear bomb is dropped, a lot of things get destroyed, people get hurt. It's a real bad scene, right? Everyone agrees on that. The point is, though, it's a real bad scene right now. Nuclear weapons are killing people every day. Nuclear weapons are responsible for unemployment in this country, not just Ronald Reagan. Nuclear weapons, too. Nuclear weapons and the arms race are responsible for our shrinking economy. Nuclear weapons and the arms race are responsible for poor people not having food. And this is the connection we have to make.
I agree. I think, we have to make those connections. As long as I've been involved in political organizing, probably the hardest thing to do has been to organize for a broad base of support, which means organizing around the issues of race and class, really. All three of us happen to be upper middle class people who've been to college. And we're well-educated people. Well, more or less. Okay, well, it seems to me that oftentimes in the peace movement, in other movements for progressive change, that the people who are doing the organizing are not the same people who are trying to organize, and that seems to lead to a great deal of difficulty in getting them together. Judy, you've been involved in organizing even longer than I have. What are your thoughts on that subject?
Well, I think that's why this event was somewhat different than the kinds of events that, say, some of the groups like Physicians for Social Responsibility or other professional groups have been doing. That it seemed to, although some of us are from a particular constituency, I think a number of the people that were part of the coalition were not, and were from more of a working class background, or the Portuguese community, or whatever. There's still a lot more work to be done, and that's some of our future plans, to really try and do more outreach to the groups and constituencies that we haven't been to.
What you're talking about is I have a phrase for it. It's not my own. It's called the gentrification of the peace movement, and I guess
I think what we're trying to do, Ted, is de-gentrify the peace movement. The peace movement in the United States really did start at the grassroots, but it's moved beyond that. For example, now they say that Ted Kennedy and Ed Markey are the leaders of the peace movement. These politicians are doing good work now, but they're really riding a popular crest, and they are not our leaders. What we're trying to do is take the movement back to the grassroots, even deeper in the grassroots.
I just want to, can I challenge something for a second? You say that Ted Kennedy is doing good work around these issues. I suppose you would include Gary Hart in that. Gary Hart calls for a 5% increase in real defense spending. At the same time, he calls for nuclear freeze, and Ted Kennedy supports certain sophisticated weapons systems.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the things that I personally want to change. I don't consider those people good models for leadership for the peace movement.
Well, the point is that we have to talk about leadership altogether. And what we tried to do in the Speak Out was decentralized leadership, take it back to the grassroots. Because the point is, these people will give us what we want if we push them, but they won't give us any more than they have to.
Dave, I just saw we've got a phone call. I don't want to keep them waiting. By the way, our number is 628-6750. Please call.
I'm speaking.
I know. Maybe you should.
Maybe I should be quiet.
Hi, you're on Dead Air.
Oh, my name is Kristen Gore, and I live at Mystic Housing Center, and I'd like to keep the Mystic Learning Center, and I don't want the nuclear weapons.
Okay. Well, none of us here do either. What is the Mystic Learning Center was one of our sponsors at the event, wasn't it? You were at the event? Did you come?
No.
You didn't come? Oh, that's too bad. You missed a good time. Well, thanks for calling. Thanks very much. Bye now.
Bye.
Okay.
We got a wide audience there tonight.
The Mystic Learning Center. Dave, I'm sorry, you were interrupted. Do you want to?
I was probably saying something about peace or anything. Why don't you just go on with your questions, Ted?
Okay. Well, I think it's actually time that we moved on to a different subject matter, and that is where do we go from here in Somerville? I mean, we've had the Speak Out. At the Speak Out itself, we actually talked about proposals for future work. Dave, you belong to PAA, and sometime in the near future, I know that PAA is going to be holding some kind of hearings around.
Well, let me say a little bit about PAA. People Against Annihilation is a real Somerville group. It started
Dave, once again, there's a phone call.
They're like cues. Let me finish. Thank you. Okay, PAA started from real Somerville people, and what we did, first of all, was run a referendum. In addition to the statewide freeze referendum, we had a Somerville referendum on the freeze, which was a little bit stronger in language. It was much more forceful. It wasn't multilateral to begin with. And we had both on the ballot. Question 6 was the Somerville freeze. Question 5 was the statewide freeze. And question 6 got 4% more of the vote than question 5 did. Yeah. People in Somerville know about this event to start off. Now, what we'll be doing next is running a hearing on the civil defense plan. Right now, residents of Somerville are supposed to get into their cars, drive up Route 2, or drive up Route 1 to Kennebunk, Maine.
Where is that?
It's where George Bush has his summer home, incidentally.
Oh, are we going to all move in with him?
Well, I want to write him a letter to make sure I have a space in any case. But we want to get the city of Somerville to reject this plan. And city politicians have already been cooperative in this regard, and they're holding a public hearing April 5th. And we're going to say, we need this money to be used on other things, the money that would normally go for civil defense. And the thing we're particularly concerned about is crisis relocation after chemical spills. 3 years ago next week, there was a chemical spill in Somerville, and all sorts of relocation proved totally inadequate. And we, the people of Somerville, want control over what toxic chemicals are shipped within our borders. We want control over what's produced here. We want control over industry here. This is the people of Somerville. We want control of our lives, basically. And this is what the Civil Defense Plan is starting with. We want to say the Civil Defense Plan is not a workable thing. All it does is it leads to the dangerous myth that nuclear war is possible, that people can survive a nuclear war. And the people of Somerville are going to reject this. This is April 5th, 7:30 at the Aldermanic Chambers. That's a Tuesday night. And we hope it'll be a large turnout. This is the absolute next event coming up in Somerville.
All right, we'll get back to that later. Right now we have another phone call. Hi, you're on Dead Air.
Hello, this is Terry. I'm from the Mystic Learning Center.
No.
Hi, Terry. Okay. What would you like to say?
I went to the Speak Out, and I think it was very good.
Why do you think it was very good?
Because they're right about the bombs and stuff.
Uh-huh. How old are you?
12.
You're 12? Okay, well, when you get a little older, I hope to see you at the Boston Mobilization for Survival, working with us. Thanks a lot for calling. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Hi, you're on Dead Air.
My name's Michelle Bias. My name's Michelle Bias.
Hi, Michelle. This is Ted. What can I do for you?
I live with Mr. Calvin.
Okay. Do you have something you want to say to us?
I want to see another Speak Out soon.
You want to see another Speak Out soon?
Good.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking
organize
about
the show?
we're going to be talking about what's coming up next for Somerville in a second. Thanks a lot for calling.
Yes,
Bye-bye. Okay.
We've really reached the Somerville youth, that's clear.
That is clear.
That's
We
right.
got to thank Fluffy Bergman very much.
Very much so.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job of organizing the children of the Mystic Learning Center.
Very supportive of the event.
Yes, it really was. We
talked a little bit about the civil defense hearing,
Okay.
which is coming up April 5th.
Right. Judy, you at the end of the event went through a couple of proposals for future action around this, and you also talked about the formation of a coalition which will continue the work of the Speak Out, because, I mean, clearly we didn't hold the Speak Out just in and of itself. We want to continue this, continue the work, and PAA is going to work in this group, hopefully, and this group is going to support PAA and its work around the civil defense. And that's certainly one of the things that we're going to be doing, but there are some other things. You want to talk to that?
Right. That's true. The Speak Out really was the first step, and we're really hoping that a coalition will continue. Right now, as I said before, we had about 30 groups that were part of it, both sponsors and endorsers, and we hope that that will continue. What was presented at the event was basically 3 proposals, one of which is for a Somerville nuclear-free zone. And similar to what actually is happening around the country, that a whole number of communities are declaring themselves either through city council resolutions or through binding referendum that declare themselves nuclear-free zones. And this might be a very significant campaign for Somerville. As most people probably know, there are no nuclear weapons that are researched or developed right here. But that could make a very important stand for people to say, in any case, that that will never happen, so that it would be, in essence, a preventative measure. The issue, though, that David pointed out about transportation of waste, that most likely happens. And as we all know, a couple years ago with the chemical spill, it wouldn't be surprising if there are nuclear weapons that were transported through the city. And a lot of research needs to be done on that. So that will be one campaign that's going to be presented.
Judy, could I ask you to hold now, because I think we have another phone call.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, hang on, okay? So that's the host.
Hi, you're on Dead Air.
Hi, my name is Darlene Scott, and I wasn't at the Speak Out, but I'm watching it now, and I think it's very good. And my friend Terry Saviano just called, and she told me somebody, and I wish I was there.
How many phones do you have there?
3.
3. How come there are only 2 lights on?
Huh?
Never mind.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye now. Hi, you're on Dead Air.
Hi, I'm a resident of Somerville, and I'm not from the Mystic Learning Center.
Oh, right.
I was unable to attend the Speak Out, even though it sounded like a very worthwhile event, and I think it would have been inspiring I'm glad to hear that you're all going to try to get a lot of citizens to go to City Hall April 5th. And I'm wondering if there's any other type of campaign that you could get citizens of Somerville involved in. You know, some kind of petition to our city government or whatever. You know, saying that we want to be a nuclear-free area of Massachusetts. I mean, there must be some imaginative thing that we could do to say hey, stop this. We don't want to take part in that.
Right, yeah. What we just talked about is that's one of the proposals that's going to be coming up for this coalition to continue with. And that's around a nuclear-free Somerville, as you said. It's a very good campaign, and I think we could get a lot of interest in Somerville around that. And there'll probably be something around doing work around petitions and working with the city council on this. As well as there's another campaign that I wanted to talk a bit about, and that's around a fair budget campaign. But I could tell you now, we are having a follow-up meeting to the Speak Out, which is next Monday at 7:30 at the old Firehouse Community Center on Broadway.
I'm glad to hear about it. I'm an older person, and I certainly want to do what I can to help.
Good. We hope you can be there.
For the future of our children and grandchildren and other generations to come, we hope.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
I'd like to add that it's important for us to continue pressuring our legislators. Tip O'Neill is a representative from Somerville, and lately Tip said, yeah, I want the freeze, but I want the MX too, and we have to say, that's not acceptable.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Hi, you're on Dead Air.
Yeah, I didn't go to Speak Out, but the show's really good, and I agree with the guy, you know. Hey, if anybody wants to go and blow up Bush's summer house there, I'm all for it. I don't like, all these killings and everything, and the weapons, they shouldn't have any weapons. Maybe the world would be a better place if they didn't have any.
Sounds good to me. Thanks a lot for calling.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. That's going to have to be our last phone call because we're just going to have to wrap it up here. I just want to thank my guest, Judy Fryworth from Boston Mobilization for Survival, and David Meyer from People Against Annihilation. And
thank you, Ted.
Yeah, thank you.
You're quite welcome. The tape of the show will be rebroadcast at 2 times. At Friday at 7 o'clock, this coming Friday at 7 o'clock, and the following Tuesday, March 29th at 9 p.m. Why don't we end the show just like the way we started it, with a song?
A lot of the information, I think, has been really clear and easy to understand, and I just feel like there are so many good people working in a meaningful way on this issue that I've really been inspired.
I think it's going to help people get involved. I think the other important thing is that groups and individuals in Somerville need to start working together. And we've all been thinking about these things in our own little organizations and in our houses. And this is the first time that there's been a big event in Somerville.
What organization do you come from?
I'm with the Somerville Women's Center.
This first song is one that was written by a New York City songwriter named David Michael Roth. It's called Next Door Neighbor. The moving vans were pulling into town last week, loaded with 100 brand new friends. They've been looking for a place to live for quite some time, but just where they'll settle down, that all depends. The problem is they have been known to be explosive. They cause commotion every hour of the day. Oh, Mayor, won't you call our nearest congressperson? 'Cause I don't think we ought to let them stay. Don't want a missile to be my next door neighbor. I don't know of anyone who would. They're messy, they stay up all night, they're noisy, and if they with me. Don't want a missile to be my next door neighbor. I don't know of anyone who would. They're messy, they stay up all night. They're messy, they stay up all night. They're noisy, and if they come, there goes the neighborhood. Well, our new neighbors, they are government supported. Everything they need, they get for free. I might remind you all that we're the ones paying for Mr. MX and his Mrs. Miseries. They used to say our little city was a melting pot, shining model of democracy. Well, if the new neighbors have an argument, we're all involved, and a melting pot's exactly what will be. Don't want a missile, don't want a missile to be my next door neighbor. I don't know of anyone who would. I don't know of anyone who would. They're messy, they stay up all night. They're messy, they stay up all night. They're noisy, and if they come, there goes the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Jim Curley, Dead Air Live, The Teenage Takeover. Watch us on April 5th, 8 o'clock on this channel. Stay tuned.